Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me today as we enter week 7 of our weekly pleas for a weekly Bang energy drink advertisement, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
We're doing well.
See that?
A drink so good it makes you want to wake up early on a Saturday morning, break down some hockey.
See that? He's ready for this Bang energy drink. Get at us. We do have a 9-game slate up ahead of us. Just want to mention Yahoo Fantasy. They are our sponsor for this show, have been our sponsor all season long. Thank you very much to Yahoo Fantasy. We have a little offer / giveaway from them coming up later in the show. Before we get too much further, if you guys could, I see a handful of you in the chat. Most of you have been good enough to give us a thumbs up. If a few of you a few others of you could give us a thumbs up as well and click that subscribe button. Help us grow those subscription numbers. Keep these shows coming on a regular basis. All right, Josh, we should talk about last night real quick. It was just a 2-game slate. It was a weird 2-game slate in the sense that we only had the 2 games and they both started at 10 o'clock Eastern. So we were pretty much just sitting around all night, not doing a whole lot. I was playing video games. I know that you said you were working. I had a decent night last night. Well, I mean, not a great night. I'm min cashed. Anytime I can min cash a single entry in a GPP, I'll take it. Colorado went to Pound Town on Seattle, 7-3. Cale Makar had a huge game, couple of goals with an assist, 6 shots plus a block, nearly 40 DK points. Andre Burakovsky also had a big game for Colorado. He had a pair of goals. That was the guy that I missed out on. I went Colorado 1 plus Colorado 3 in a Josh stack. Colorado 2 picked up a couple goals, so it was an early night for me, but it was nice to min cash. We talked about Colorado and the return of their defenseman a few games ago. I think Bowen Byram's out now. He's out with a concussion, but Taves, Girard, Makar, that seems to be the triumvirate that they really need in the lineup. And man, like even without Nathan McKinnon, it's crazy how good this team looks with those 3 defensemen in the lineup.
Yeah, and Seattle's goaltending has been bad so far this year. Chris Dridger, I think that was his 3rd game this year. I don't think he's made it through a game yet this season. So, everyone was talking about how, Seattle plays at a low pace. They don't take many penalties. But the thing is, if you're not stopping shots, it doesn't matter.
That's right. If you're only stopping 80% of the shots coming at you, you can have the best penalty kill in the world. It really won't matter. I saw a few people in our chat had a good night last night. I know Corsi, I believe, hit all his cash games. Good for him. I saw Dedro ended up top 3 in the forecheck last night. Good for you, Dedro. Gonna just have to get right back at it here tonight. It's a 9-game slate tonight, but there's hockey. I don't want to say all day because college football still takes precedence early on Saturday afternoons. But there is hockey. There's a 2-game slate, I believe, at 4 Eastern, and then a showdown slate after that, and then that big 9-game slate. So there is hockey most of the day today. And if you don't want to stick around and wait for the 9 games tonight, we do have that 2-game slate, that showdown slate and all that. So just looking ahead real quick to tonight's slate, is there anything that sticks out to you? Is there anything that really immediately jumped out at you besides obviously Edmonton having that 4.0 goal total at home to Chicago?
Some of these pricings on the road teams, like Pitt 1 is expensive, Boston 1 is more than half your salary on DraftKings. They're over 25,000. So, I mean, there's going to be some low-owned spots on the road. There's some injuries for some home teams. There's some COVID impacts for some home teams, some line shuffling, which makes some defensive spots. So this is even though it's 9-game slates, it's full of news and some things are going to mix up a little bit with some matchups. So I actually really like this slate at this hour. I'm sure after lock, my tune might change, but I do really like it right now.
Yeah, so do I. Like you said, there is some weird pricing on a few of the spots, but I think there's a good mix of road favorites, home favorites, massive favorites, dogs that we should be looking at. I like the slates they seem manageable. You don't have to wrangle 12 or 13 games, and then you're not, just slamming together a bunch of lineups for a 3 or 4 game. I like these 9 gamers. Let's move it along. Let's get to some of these games anyway. Let's get to the first one. Pittsburgh, 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Toronto. The Leafs have a 3.5 implied goal total. Something we've talked about in our Discord, and something we talked about in our last game, and it's something even Sidney Crosby himself brought up in the media, was returning from COVID, especially, I think he was symptomatic. And it just takes time to get your legs and to get your hands back, right? Like a lot of times when these players are symptomatic with COVID, they're just not skating for 9, 10, 11, 12 days up 2 weeks. And then they'll have maybe 1 or 2 practices, and then it's right back into games. So these guys really aren't getting a lot of time to reacclimate or get back up to speed. So, it's 4 games now for Crosby since he's returned. We'll see how he can fare, but yeah, like the numbers haven't been good. 41% expected goals, 47% Corsi share for Crosby in his 3 games since returning. Is that a bark on Pitt 1? I don't know. We're gonna have to go to the judges for that one. Judges, yeah. Tyler's calling for VAR, I see. But I just think, yeah, that's a Pitt 1. Okay, that's a Pitt 1. But I just think it's a really good spot for Toronto overall, because I think Pittsburgh did have really good defensive numbers, but I think some of the COVID players aren't back to where they were, and I think that's why we're seeing a big 3.5 total on Toronto. So I want to get your thoughts on this game, Josh.
Yeah, I do like Toronto side as well. Tavares Nylander is going to get that Crosby matchup, and Crosby's 4 games back. He scored last game. He is looking a bit better. The numbers still don't say he's completely back yet. Bacon agrees he's not back yet. So I kind of like the Tavares Nylander 2-man. You want to put on Kerfoot, that's fine. I don't really like going into Crosby. And like the more games he's back, probably the better he's going to be. It's science. But like where I'm really looking at for the Leafs here is the top line. Not a huge fan of Richie Marner. My thoughts on him, but Matthews Marner 2-man going into Carter, Zucker, Kapanen. I think it's going to go overlooked because, we talk about how Pittsburgh has been a very good defensive team. But you were telling me before the show about Carter's defensive impacts this season. They've really dropped off. So I think Matthews Marner might be a really sneaky spot tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think you can probably go anywhere in the Toronto top 6 because Jeff Carter, and we're talking just before the show. Jeff Carter's defensive numbers this year have taken a big, big hit. His defensive impacts compared to last year. Offensive numbers still look kind of fine. So I think if you want to use Pitt 2 for DFS, like if you had them targeted, I don't have them targeted. I'm not going to be using Pitt 2, but if you had them targeted, I'd say you could still use them. But I don't think they're the defensive line that they would have been, 6 or 7 months ago, going back to April of last year when Carter got traded. So I think you can very much go towards that Matthews line going into the Carter line. And even with Richie there, like I know we like to make fun of Richie, and no, he's not the ideal player to have on that top line, but they're still generating 74 shot attempts per 60 minutes with him on the top line, 45 scoring chances per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 with him on the top line. Like I think you're just fine with Richie if you want to stick him in, or if not, I think you're fine with the Toronto power play stack here. The Toronto power play, like we make fun of it, but it's, they had good processes early in the year, and now the goals are finally starting to go in. I don't even mind a Toronto power play stack here because I think that power play is getting to the point where it's not quite Edmonton matchup proof, but it's getting pretty close, and I'll take it at home with the 3.5 total. So Toronto power play, I think is a fine stack. More or less, I'm going to focus on the Matthews even strength line. On the Pittsburgh side, nothing for me. Down on the blue lines, I mean, Morgan Riley really shut us up the other night with a double dong in a 2-1 win. the perfect one-off for that slate. That's probably not something we're going to say very often about Morgan Riley. Their usual guys are still priced very cheap. I mean, I don't see a lot that I really like in this game, honestly, besides Michael Matheson at 2,900 on the blue line.
Yeah, Matheson 2,900, Muzzin, I guess 3,400. Like he's just priced there for like a few weeks now. He hasn't really been doing too much. So I don't know if you want to use Riley in a power play stack, go for it. I'm still not going to want off him. He might not score 2 goals in a game until 2037 when he's 58 years old. So I'm going to pass.
Fair enough. Before we get too much, before we pass to the next game, just one last note on the Toronto power play. This month, 124 shot attempts per 60 minutes, 10.4 expected goals per 60 minutes, 23 actual goals per 60 minutes on the power play this month. They've really just started clicking, so I do like that as a little stack here tonight. Before we keep going, if you guys could please give us a like and a subscribe. The subscriptions especially help us grow this channel, helps you guys keep up with all our DFS offers and all our giveaways and all that. Click that little bell if you want to get notified when our shows do go live. And be sure to check out our free premium tools and data, which we have up on the site. We have free premium tools and data most every day, today being no exception. We have week 11 player rankings. We have NBA player rankings. Those are week 11 NFL player rankings, by the way. NBA player rankings, UFC pro plays, and NHL player projections, all for tonight. And if you're playing NBA DFS, be sure to check out Adam Scherer's NBA deep dive article, which is the most in-depth and free NBA DFS article you will find anywhere. So check out the site, whether you're playing NBA, NHL, UFC, NFL. We have some free premium tools and data for you guys to check out on the slate here today. Going to keep moving along here. We have Calgary, 2.8 implied goal total. They're going into the Islanders. The Islanders have 2.9 implied goal total. The Islanders have kind of looked pretty bad this year, but they started the season on, I think, a 14-game road trip or a 13-game road trip or something like that. So, like, let's give them a little bit of a break for how bad they've been. But on the flip side, Anders Lee out, Josh Bailey out, both on the COVID protocol, I believe. Now, those are 2 guys that I had pegged as slow starters this year, so maybe that actually kind of helps the team. But I can't imagine losing 2 top 6 guys and having to fill them in with, like, Kiefer Bellows and, Casey Cizikas or Cal Clutterbuck or something is really going to help here. So we don't know exactly what the Islanders lines are going to look like. Anthony Beauvillier was on the top line, but that was with Anders Lee, and that was before Anders Lee entered protocols. So what are the lines going to look like after that? I don't really know. To me, this screams Calgary game just because there's so much uncertainty right now with the Islanders. Like if we had more updates on what the Islanders lineup might look like, I'd have a better opinion. But as of right now, 9:15 Eastern Saturday morning, Anders Lee and Bailey on the COVID protocols, we just don't know what the lineup's going to be. So just give me your thoughts on this game overall, Josh. What do you see out of this?
It's tough to conjecture on the Islanders with Lee out. Maybe Palmieri moves up. Maybe Bellows move. Like, we just don't know. Like
my guess is the top line of Bellows, Barzal, and Beauvillier. Sorry, that would be my best guess. Is the triple B lineup, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to know. With Lee out, it's kind of hard. It really hurts the Islanders' depth in terms of DFS. So, as of this moment, I'm not going to be playing any Islanders. If there's a line that comes together that I like, then maybe that will change. But at this hour, I'm probably going to be out on them. Calgary, the top 6 is in play for me. That top line fully correlated on the power play. Islanders don't take too many penalties, but with Lee out, Bailey out, does their defense take a hit? Probably. So, that top line definitely in play for me. We don't have ownership yet. I would imagine they're not going to be super high owned tonight. And then that second line is, Andrew Mangiapane has been unstoppable lately. I worry because that line's so cheap. They're going to be a pretty popular filler tonight. I will wait to see on ownership there. I do like them as well. Ownership isn't up. It does concern me. I think they're going to be pretty popular tonight, but I do like the Calgary top six.
I'll say, like, just to talk about ownership real quick. I don't think it'll be too bad just because it's a 2.8 total, right? And we do have, Nashville 2.9, Washington 3.2, Columbus 2.8, Detroit 3.0. They all have reasonably priced lines, right? So if Calgary's 2 comes in at like 5 or 6%, I think that feels about reasonable. Here's the thing with Anders Lee. The guys will make fun of me for this in Discord, but I write about season-long fantasy hockey over at Dauber Hockey. And I wrote about the Islanders quite a bit on Thursday. And I think Anders Lee has been a big problem for them. And it's not really a surprise, right? Power forwards tend to break down faster than any other type of NHL player, like a playmaking center or a rugged defenseman. Power forwards just break down faster. He's 31 years old coming off major ACL surgery, right? His expected goals against on the ice is like north of 4. It's hilarious. Now they're trading chances back and forth, so I think the Islanders' top line would be fine offensively, but they're giving up a lot more defensively than they're generating. But the thing is like Lee's probably going to be out tonight, right? And Barzal, his numbers this year without Lee have actually looked good, at least above water by shot share and expected goal share, not well below water. So I think I hate to say it right now. I just don't have a good opinion on this game because we don't know what the lines are going to be. For right now, I would say I would just one off some pieces from the Calgary second line. I agree with you. One off Coleman, one off Mangiapane. I have a power plays article coming up later today. Michael Backlund is going to be written up in it. He's centering the second line. But he is playing 16 to 17 minutes a game of late playing on that second line. So, yeah, I'm with you on the Calgary second line. If they move Beauvillier up, they just won't have the horses on the second line to match up with them for the Islanders. On the blue line, nobody like really sticking out to me. Like I know Ryan Pollock's still out for the Islanders, so I imagine Adam Pelech is probably going to see a fair amount of minutes tonight. 2,700 seems a decent bet for the block bonus. Anybody else stick out to you?
Not really. Fan favorite Oliver Shillington at 3,500 will get some. So I don't mind him, but Pelech, Mayfield on the Islanders, they're going to see a ton of minutes, probably block some shots. So I don't mind them as one-offs.
Yeah, Pelech. And I think Chris Tanev is a guy that's been coming up in the Awesemo projections as a good value for a punt lately. So I imagine he will be again today once the projections come up. So I will mention Chris Tanev as well if you need a $2,500 punt. Getting to the next game, Boston, 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Philly. The Flyers have a 2.6 implied goal total. Josh, you mentioned the expensive prices earlier on in the show. Boston 1 is north of $25K on DraftKings. They will cost you over half your salary on DraftKings to stack, and they're on the road. They're going into Sean Couturier, but as I mentioned to you before the show, Couturier's numbers without Giroux haven't really been that good this year, but still, it's north of 25K on the road going into Philly. I got to get your thoughts on that and get your thoughts on this game in general.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they were home against the Coyotes, I can understand that pricing, but like, this is on the road getting one of the better two-way centers. Yeah, he doesn't have Giroux. Maybe he does. Who knows? Like AV is, AV. He could AV this whole lineup, remix some lines. But, Couturier without Giroux, his numbers have been pedestrian, but it's still Couturier, and it's hard to pay $25,000 to go into Couturier. That being said, from a ownership perspective, Boston's going to be very low owned. Now, this isn't the Boston one from a few years ago. Their power play has been so bad compared to how it was a few years ago. So, like, I'm trying to find reasons to play them tonight. I'm just having a hard time getting there with ownership, with pricing. You factor that in. I don't think you can full stack if you want to one off a Pasternak for 8,900. That may be a very contrarian way to pay up on this slate, but I don't know. Like it would be very hard for me to get to some Boston 1 and 1 to 3. I probably wouldn't play him in 1 to 3. In MME, I think you can start mixing and matching, a Bergeron, Pasternak, a couple 2-mans here and there, but like even full stacking, unless there's like a line that you really like that's $11,000 tonight, it's going to be tough to full stack. I do like. I want to get behind, Boston too, getting that Brassard matchup, but like Nick Foligno there doesn't do much for me. If you want to one-off Taylor Hall or a 2-man in with Charlie Coyle, I guess that's fine. Like this game just is MME paradise. Like there just is not much I want to concentrate on, in 1 to 3, even in 20 max. Like, I don't know if I want to get too much from this game. Like this just like the more lineups you build, like if you're getting into like 50, 75, 100, you'll have a little bit from this game, but I'm just having a tough time getting anywhere in a few lineups in this game.
So I think I know why Boston is priced where they are, and hear me out here. Philly is one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. I think the 6th most. Is that a Boston 1 bar? Yeah, that's a Boston 1 bar.
This dog's not trained yet.
But yeah, anyways, Philly is taking the 6th most penalties of any team this year. They're giving up the 6th most power plays to the opponent. And guess which team is by far, and I mean by far, dead last in expected goals against on the penalty kill in the month of November? The Flyers have 11.3 expected goals against on the penalty kill in the month of November. We're 3 weeks in. The next closest team is 8.3. They're literally 25% worse than the next closest team. The only reason, or 30% worse, the only reason they're not getting completely lit up is Carter Hart has a .925 save percentage on the penalty kill over the last 3 weeks. A goalie cannot keep up that rate of saves on the penalty kill. So I think that's where the Boston price is coming from. This is a great special team matchup for them. So that being said, I think you can get away with, instead of 3-man stacking Boston, the top line, and spending $25K, maybe you do Marchand, Pasternak, and McAvoy. Maybe you do Bergeron, Pasternak, and Foligno, or something like that. I think you have to find ways, especially if you're 20 maxing and 150 maxing and all that. I think you have to find ways to get some pieces of that top Boston power play here tonight. In my 1 to 3, I agree with you. I don't know if I would do it. I'm 20 maxing here tonight. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have some Boston power plays in my lineup. I'll just have to look for value elsewhere. On the Philly side of things, like, there's just not a lot that excites me in this Philly game. I don't know if there's anything that sticks out to you here, but I see Couturier with 2 bad defensive wingers. I see 2 bad defensive wingers, or 2 good defensive wingers flanking a bad defensive center in Derek Brassard. I guess I see a decent third line, but even the Boston third line has been somewhat solid this year. So I'm not sure I see a lot on the Philly side. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as the lines are currently constituted, I don't want to have Couturier going into Bergeron. It's just like, and then Brassard, I guess if you want a 2-man like Brassard Giroux, or do like a Giroux Atkinson, but like it's not going to be a priority for me. I don't think you need to go down to the third line. If you want to one-off Travis Konechny, sure, but like Boston's depth has been good. It's just, there's nothing I'm going to prioritize on the Flyers tonight. Maybe on the blue line, there's a couple cheap guys that I can one off, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, let's talk about that blue line. I'm going to be writing up Justin Braun for my Power Plays article. Leads the Phillies defenseman in block shots per 60 minutes by quite a bit. Probably going to play about 20 minutes. Boston is the most shot-happy team in the league so far this season. So I think Braun as a one-off defenseman.
Yeah, Braun, Sanheim, Ristolainen. Like, those are guys that I consider. Boston side, Brandon Carlo, Mike Riley. Like, there's a good bunch of possible one-offs. If you like a certain guy, play him. Like, I'm just giving out guys that I like. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to like him. If you have a preference, play that preference. But those are the guys that I'm interested in.
Yeah, definitely do like Justin Braun here tonight. We have partnered with Yahoo, or nope, that's not the right read. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Of course, if you're only interested in playing NHL DFS, then you can sign up for an Awesemo Plus NHL package for as low as $3.95. We also have a special going on for our college basketball DFS projections. Your first week is only $5 when you use the promo code Coach K. That's all caps, all one word, Coach K, for your first week of Awesemo Plus college basketball for only $5. You can activate that coupon by clicking the link in the description of this video below. This offer is valid through the end of today, I believe, November 20th. So stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. That's Coach K, all caps, all one word, to get your first week of Awesemo Plus college basketball for only $5 if you are a new Awesemo user. All right, let's get to this next game. Nashville, 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into Montreal to face the Habs. The Montreal Canadiens have a 2.7 implied goal total. I should mention Montreal didn't look very good in their last game, but the one thing they did do was keep their lines together all game. So it's a fair bet that they're going to run back Suzuki, Toffoli, and Caulfield, and then the Dvorak line, Gallagher down on the third line, and so on and so forth. The thing that stuck out to me about that game, though, they didn't really line match anybody. And that's something that I've noticed for a couple of home games now for Montreal, is that it looks like they're just playing peewee hockey and rolling four lines. Like, one guy goes in the door, the next guy goes out the door, and keeps going like that. It wouldn't surprise me coming in from Dominic Ducharme. But I do like the Nashville side of this game. Let me get your thoughts on this before I keep going.
Yeah. I like Nashville 1 tonight. I mean, it doesn't matter if they line match Dvorak with them, Suzuki with them, they rotate lines. Like, there's nothing defensively on Montreal that's going to take me off of Nashville 1. I think it was you who was mentioning in the Discord yesterday about the Corsi numbers, about how who was it? Thomas Novak is leading them in shot attempts, I think it was. But
yeah, for the month of November, Thomas Novak is leading Nashville forwards in shot attempt rate, and no Nashville forward is in the top 125 of the league. That means they have no forward shooting at a top line rate.
Yeah, and there's nothing to help cure that than the Montreal Canadiens. So I actually like what I like to do with Nashville is I'm not a big Luke Cunning guy for whatever reason. I haven't discovered that reason yet, but what I like to do, because Montreal has a pretty porous penalty kill, I think something that I do, I'll leave Cunning off. I'll put Eli Tolvanen on and do a Tolvanen, Granlund, Duchesne with Yossi, get a 4-man power play. This is a pretty good special team spot for the Predators. So that's pretty much where I'm concentrating. You want a full power play stack and add in Ryan Johansson, I'll say, a prayer for you, but you can do it. On the Montreal side, like, little boy goals is still 2,600. So I don't mind going there. Like, that top line is cheap. They're at home. They look terrible last game, but like, I like these lines. It's just, I don't know if this is the matchup. I think if anything, I'll go to Toffoli, Suzuki, Caulfield. I don't know if you want a full stack, but Caulfield 2,600 is still worth, taking a shot, Suzuki, Caulfield, Toffoli, Caulfield, Suzuki, Toffoli, something like that. It's not going to be something that I'm going to do in 1 to 3, but as you get into 20 max, 150 max, there's definitely some spots on Montreal that I want to get to.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention is they did bring up a rookie in their last game, Matthias Norlinder. It's a guy they're high on. He was not running the second power play unit, but part of the second power play unit. I don't know why they have Ben Sherratt on. Oh my God. I don't need this early in the morning, Josh. But I want to talk about the Nashville side, because Matt Duchesne is a guy that I do have written up for my power plays article. The Nashville top power play unit, 102 shot attempts this year, 11.3 goals per 60 minutes, 7.3 expected goals per 60 minutes. Like if you were to case those like league wide, those would be roughly top 10. Like if you compare to other teams, the Montreal penalty kill, just not very good. Like I think the best you can say about it is that it's average, and they do take a fair amount of penalties as well. So I agree with you. This is a good power play spot for that Nashville top power play. So yeah, the guys like Duchesne, Granlund, Yossi, those guys, definitely big fans. I know Jake is probably going to give us both bonuses today for talking so much about Roman Yossi. It's nice to see him come down to $7,900. It's a little bit more tougher to stomach at the 83, 8,400 range. Obviously, you and I both like Yossi in this game. I mentioned Norlinder as a 2,500 punt for power play 2 for Montreal. Is anybody else sticking out to you?
I mean, it's kind of hard to use anyone else besides Yossi. It just seems like he just sucks up everything. I know there's a couple guys in Discord that will remain nameless, are Fabro stands, and I guess that's fine at 2,800. You could definitely do worse than Fabro as a punt. Norlinder, definitely interesting to me at 2,500. Savard, if you want some block shots, is fine as well.
All right, let's keep it moving along then. St. Louis, 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Dallas. Dallas has a 2.9 implied goal total. And here's something that stuck out to me when researching this game, Josh. Dallas has stopped using, it appears, Radek Faksa as a shutdown line, and they've started using the Jamie Benn, Dennis Gurianov duo as the shutdown line. Now, I smile and I laugh as I say that. I like Ben and Gurianov. They're guys that I've used as a duo quite a bit this season in DFS to absolutely no success, mind you, but I have used them. I just don't know that they're a shutdown line. I guess we'll see how that goes. St. Louis and Dallas both have roughly the same implied goal total. Dallas obviously a little bit favored at home, but I think you and I are both going to like the Blues. Are there things to like on both sides, or is this more of a Blues game again for us?
Yeah, it's probably more of a Blues game. Rick Bowness, absolute clown, sending out Ben Gurianov raffle. Like,
okay. Oh, well, before we go too much further, can we talk about Rick Bowness for a second?
Yeah. Oh,
this guy calls up Riley Tufte to the NHL. Riley Tufte is an AHL junior player, whatever, doesn't have, NHL money to his name, spends all his money to bring in family and friends to come watch him play his first NHL game, and then they healthy scratch him an hour before the game starts. What are you doing? That is one of the worst things I've ever seen a coach do in the NHL.
I hope they paid him for the tickets.
I couldn't believe it. He spent all his money buying tickets for family and friends. So much money, like you said, other players had to chip in to help him buy tickets for family and friends, and they healthy scratched him an hour before the game starts. Oh my God. Anyways, I just had to get that out. Rick Bowness, they should have sent him in a cab on his way home. There's no way he should be coaching another game in the NHL. I could not believe that.
Hopefully either the players or someone in the front office, gave him the money for those tickets, because that was ridiculous. That was one of the dirtiest moves I've ever seen.
That was crazy. I've never seen it. I've never seen a coach treat a player like that in public. I'm sure there's been a handful of cases. I'm sure not a rookie that is supposed to make his NHL debut. Anyways, Dallas getting away from that Hintz Pavelski, top line match would kind of lead me. It makes me want to like that Dallas top line a little bit more. But St. Louis is starting to get healthy. Braden Shen might be back here tonight for the Blues. Could line up here on the third line. Like if you're putting together a lineup that has Brandon Saad and Braden Shen on the third line, you have a pretty deep roster. So I'm not even sure how much Dallas I want here, even if that Hintz and Pavelski line does get second and third line matchups. So, what are your thoughts on this game, Josh?
Yeah, Interesting to see where Shen slots in. I don't think they'll break up Thomas Tarasenko. I do worry a bit that they're going to move Buchnevich because everyone moves Buchnevich around. Like, it's not just the Rangers. Wherever Buchnevich is, he goes up and down the lineup. I'm hoping we can get Buchnevich, Thomas Tarasenko again because they looked good the other night. That would be the line that I really like. But if Ben Raffel, Gurrianov are going to get O'Reilly, Perron, Kyrou, like I also really like that line. And Kyrou is shooting the puck now. So like, yeah, even O'Reilly, Perron, Sludgefest USA, like it's fine. Kyrou is there to drive the play. I think there's a lot to like in the Blues top six, despite it being a 2.7 total on the road. If these totals flip-flopped and Blues had a 3.0 and Dallas had 2.7, I wouldn't even bat an eye. If Shen's on that third line with Saad, like that even interests me a little bit. So like I really like the Blues. And if you want to get to that top line on Dallas, I think that's perfectly fine, especially in 20 to 150. 1 to 3, they'll be in the conversation. I don't know if they make the final cut. You know, they're fairly cheap. They're fully correlated. You know, the Blues are a deep team. They're pretty good defensively. They have a pretty decent penalty kill. Bennington's a question mark, but he's had a pretty decent season actually. So that's about as nice as thing I'll say about Bennington. But so yeah, Dallas won an MME. There's a lot to like on the Blues side. I think, you know, it's going to be some tough cuts down to 1 to 3, but the Blues will definitely be in the mix.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you say anything nice about Jordan Bennington ever.
It's early in the morning. Dogs are barking.
You really threw me out. Like I was looking for some research stuff, and I was like, "What did he just say that?" Anyways, the reason I kind of like I agree with you. I think this is St. Louis top six night. They're probably going to throw out that Pavelski line against the St. Louis third line, and like I said, Shen and Saad, that's not a great matchup. I think the best thing about that matchup might be getting the third pair defenseman, not necessarily the forwards, right? Yeah. The second line for Dallas, Peterson, Radulov, and Sagan, like in 35 minutes together, Peterson and Sagan are like 45% Corsi for, which isn't, you know, it's not a big sample. But then in 130 minutes of Sagan and Radulov, they're at like 46% Corsi for or something. Like, they just haven't been good this year. So, yeah, I'm going to say, like, I do like St. Louis 1. I'm going to lead St. Louis 2 here because the St. Louis second power play units, power play numbers have been better, and you can get some members off that unit on the second power play. So, I do like St. Louis 2, but any part of the St. Louis top 6 here is fine for me. On the blue line, I do think Miro Heiskanen makes sense as a one-off from Dallas. Like, I think if Dallas wins this game here, it's not, you know, blowing the doors off 6-1. I think it's like a 3-1 defensive contest, and maybe Heiskanen can get in on a couple goals. So Heiskanen out as a one-off. I don't mind him. Anybody else sticking out on the blue line for you?
Yeah, he's gonna be super well owned tonight too, with like Edmonton's and all these expensive spots, and Heiskanen 6,200. He's gonna be like 1-2% tonight, so it's a pretty interesting contrarian play there. On the blue side, nothing really super exciting. If you want to put Scott Peru, I'll cut him off at Peru. Paranovich, is that what it is?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. If you want to, you know, put him in, he's 3,100 still. I think you can put him in, but I just want to mention Yanni Hakanpää for his Jake Harry-like hair, but that's about it.
Okay, fair enough. I don't mind people mentioning Yanni Hakanpää on this show at all times. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. Sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10, which can be used, free $10 below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. So be sure to check out Yahoo if you want to get your feet wet, get used to your process, get used to MMEing, what have you. Definitely would recommend people new to DFS checking out Yahoo, and you can get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum out of it while you do it. Not a bad little deal. All right. let's get to, is this the main event? Detroit 3.0 going into Arizona. The Coyotes have a 2.6. No, it's not the main event. The Coyotes have a 2.6 implied goal total. Not the main event, but I imagine there'll be a fair amount of interest on the Detroit side. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Arizona Coyotes and the Philadelphia Flyers have the same implied goal total on this slate. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know. No, I'm not using Arizona either. It's fine.
Yeah. This game is just, it's a 5.5 total, but I find myself really liking Detroit 1 tonight. Bacon really likes Detroit 1 tonight. He's doing circles around the living room. He's a psycho. We need help. Send help, please. This is my plea for help. I really like the Detroit top 6 tonight. There isn't anything on the Coyotes that scare me defensively. Like, you mean to tell me Galchenyuk and Kessel on the top line aren't going to stop you from stacking? No. Like, this team is one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the NHL. They might be rivaling the 13-14 Sabres. Like, it's
getting close.
So, I mean, Jay Beagle, Antoine Roussel, Louis Eriksson. What is this? It's like 2009. Like this team is just, I understand they're rebuilding, but like put out a product here. Like put your best player on the top line. Get Yaskin out there. I think he got hurt though. But
yeah, he's done for the season.
Yeah.
tough break.
Yeah, but no, Detroit top 6. Lucas Raymond has looked good this season. I almost said Mason. Like I'm still doing it. I really like them tonight. I would imagine their ownership is going to be fairly, I don't know what their ownership is going to be, honestly, but fully correlated on the power play. I'm in. Pia Suter has been very good this season, was Zadina. Like that 2-man is a good way to get in the power play stack. They're only 6,100 as the 2-man. You want to throw in Fabry too. Like that line has been good and they're so cheap and they're going to get God knows what on the Coyotes. So like, that is they're one of my favorite filler stacks tonight. And, on the Coyote side, the Larkin line has been very high event. So if you want to use like Kessel, like, I guess like that, they're so cheap. Like if you're 2.5 total, like honestly might be one of their higher totals this year. So like in 150, if you're looking to get in a plethora of Oilers, I think you can do a Hayton Kessel 2-man. I'm going to have to take a cold shower after this, but like they're 6,200 on the power play. It is the Wings. It's not like they're an upper echelon team. So if you want a 2-man, a Hayton Kessel to get in some power play stacks in MME, I certainly wouldn't do it in 1 to 3. I certainly wouldn't do it in maybe 10, but as you get higher and as you load in more Edmonton power play stacks, I think you're going to have to get a little creative. And there's going to be no ownership on the Yotes, so I think that is a way to get a tad different.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned Detroit too. Their numbers just outstanding this year. 66 shot attempts per 60 minutes of 5-on-5, 3.5 expected goals per 60 minutes of 5-on-5. They just have an unsustainably low shooting percentage, and you expect guys like Fabry and Zadina to eventually turn around their shooting percentage. And Detroit 1 and 2, they're going to get the Kraus line and the Beagle line, I think, in matchups. And the Kraus line so far this season, 42% shot share. The Beagle players, Beagle, Eriksson, and Roussel, all of them 47% shot share and down. I think Detroit top 6 in total is a great spot here tonight. I'll say this. I love the Detroit top line on its own because it's a great special teams matchup, right? I do like the Detroit second line as a filler stack for you. So I think it depends on what your other lineup looks like, right? Like if you're using Calgary 1, then you use Detroit 2. If you're using, Boston 2, then you use Detroit 1 or something like that. But I do like the Detroit top 6 lock. I'm going to have I'll probably have more of the second Detroit line, just the way I'm building my lineups tonight. But I do love that top 6. On the blue line, I'm probably going to have Moritz Seider written up in the Power Plays article. They're saying like I think he's like a game time decision kind of day to day with a block shot, but I think he's going to be playing tonight. Obviously, we'll find out later when warm-ups and game morning skates and all that starts. So do like Moritz Seider on the blue line. Anybody else sticking out to you in this game?
Not really. I mean, Hronek is okay at 4,200. I wish he was cheaper. Not too much on the Arizona side. Like, I don't know if Dineen got more minutes, maybe, but I'm probably going to be out on the Coyotes defenseman.
All right. I will be too, actually. Let's get to this next game, the actual main event of the evening. Chicago, 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Edmonton. The Oilers have a 4.0 implied goal total. Obviously, everybody and their mother are going to be playing the Edmonton Oilers tonight. That is a massive, massive, massive implied goal total at home. I'm just going to let you take it away, Josh. Navigate this game for us.
This game's crazy because
Okay.
Nurse is out too. So, like, these Edmonton defensive pairs are atrocious. Like, there's no way around it. Like, Keith Ceci, Broberg, Barry, Russell Bouchard. Like, there's nothing. Like, Bouchard is going to play. Like, they have him listed in the lineup builder right now as the third pair, but I would be shocked if he played under 20 minutes tonight. So I think there's stuff to like on both sides here. This being a 6 total, I think it's going to get to 6.5 before the end of the day. Edmonton power play is obviously my favorite spot of the night. They actually are starting to price McDavid and Draisaitl up a little bit. This is the first time all season I think a player has been over 9,500.
I think Dry had a 96.
Yeah, maybe.
But
McDavid 9,600, Draisaitl 9,200, 18.8 for the two of them. It's going to get real pricey to start power play stacking. You can do it.
Hey man, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman still cheaper than Boston 1.
Correct. And if you want to put in Puljujarvi instead of Hyman, you see some minutes with them on the power play. Nugent Hopkins is cheaper than Hyman as well, so you can do McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl. Barry's still on the top power play unit, which is, whatever. But Edmonton power play for me, you want to, just go Edmonton 1, that's fine. You want to do Edmonton 2 without Yamamoto, that's fine. But Edmonton power play is my favorite spot of the night. On the Blackhawks side, I think, with Hagel being back, Hagel, Taves, Kubalik, getting that Draisaitl matchup is interesting to me. They're not fully correlated on the power play. Like Hagel and Kubalik are on the second unit, Taves is on the top, but like Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Yamamoto is very leaky. No Nurse. These defensive pairs are just not good defensively. So I like this, this second line for Chicago. You want to go to DeBrincat, Kane, Doc, that's fine. I mean, Doc isn't shooting. Like, for $5,000, it's a bit pricey for me to load in a bunch of Kirby Doc, but Edmonton is going to be like, yeah, McDavid drives the play, sure, but defensively they're a mess. I like both top sixes, but on Chicago, I think I prefer that second line to the top line, unless you're power play stacking, and then on Edmonton, it's just full send on the power play.
Yeah, I'm not going to dig into Edmonton. Like you said, full send on the power play. Chicago's second line is I think the interesting part of this game to me. And for the reason that you mentioned, Brandon Hagel being back with Jonathan Taves, it's made a big difference for Taves this year. Taves playing with Hagel, his offense goes up, honestly, about 33%. Like the team's offense, like shot rate goes up by about 33%. Expected goals rate basically doubles. And like, I think it's part of it is Taves, missed all last year. Like, he didn't play hockey for a year. So maybe it's him getting back to normal too. But then Dominic Kubalik, I think, makes a nice scoring winger on the other side. So I agree with you. Like, again, full send Edmonton power play. But I think the most interesting part of this game is that Taves, Hagel, Kubalik line. I think they can do well. I think two-manning any two of the three out of there is perfectly fine. Like, if you want a game stack, I'm probably not going to. If you want a game stack, I think that's the game stack. It's like something like Taves and Hagel, and then putting in your Edmonton power play or something like that, right? Because you can't fit in your DeBrincat and your Canes and all them with your Edmonton power play. So I do like that Chicago Taves Hagel line. Again, if you want a Chicago power play stack, fine, but it's not something I'm doing here tonight. Taves Hagel for me, but mostly Edmonton power play. Philip Broberg being called up for the Oilers. I don't imagine he'll play many minutes. Like he'll probably play like 15, 16 minutes. I guess he's fine for a punt if you want to, but I think just correlating with the power plays is what I'd be doing here.
Yeah. Chris Russell. Man, we are just dumpster diving today. Chris Russell's min price. He'll block some shots. Do you see Seth Jones's price? 7,400. Like that's going to be a no for me, dog. Calvin DeHaan, Connor Murphy, Jake McCabe. They're going to be busy blocking shots as well. So a couple punts, nothing spending up wise in this game.
All right, good enough. Let's keep going then. We have about 5 minutes left or so. Before we get out of here, if you guys could give us a like and subscribe so you can keep up with all our shows, offers, giveaways, and a whole lot more. And click that notification button so that you guys get notified when we do go on the air. Columbus, 2.8 implied goal total. They're going to Vegas. Vegas has a 3.4 implied goal total. That's a pretty big total. I think it's the third biggest total at home on the slate behind Edmonton and Toronto. So that's really interesting to me here. I want to get your thoughts on this game, Josh.
Yeah, that top line is probably going to be overowned because a Vegas line is always overowned. Like it's just the fact. Like it's not me complaining. It just happens every slate. There's a Vegas line that's overowned, but they're cheap. They're fully correlated, and they're getting the Blue Jackets. Like the Blue Jackets have actually looked pretty good this season, but they still like gave up 5 goals to the Coyotes the other night. Like that worries me. I don't think like the Coyotes like quadrupled their goal output of the whole season in that game. So I like that Vegas top line. Like, don't get me wrong. And I want to play them. I just want to see ownership first. Like if their ownership's in check, yeah, I'm going to have some. If they're overowned, I'll think about it. You know, they're still going to be in my mix. That second line doesn't do too much for me. If you want to one off Riley Smith, the dog stealing ornaments off the Christmas tree. It is quite a scene in here right now. On the Columbus side, Stevenson Stone getting Jenner Bjorkstrand kind of takes me off a little bit of the Jenner Bjorkstrand line. I do like them, but I think where I go on the Columbus side is the Sillinger Voracek 2-man. Voracek has kind of been bad, but also been unlucky this season. I think that 2-man is okay. Not a high priority. Like the Jackets aren't going to be a super high priority in 1 to 3 for me, but I think you can get to some in MME.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the opposite side of the Vegas side for as compared to you. I think I like that Columbus top line. Like Mark Stone just came back from injury, right? And Stevenson and the others typically play at a high pace anyway. Like I think it's a matchup where they're going to be trading chances back and forth. It's not going to be necessarily a sludge fest, and I'd rather trade chances back and forth than play in the sludge fest. So I think that's where I'm going to differ with you here. Is I do like that Columbus top line quite a bit. They've been playing really, really well together. Like I said, they're going into a high event matchup against the Vegas top line, and no Shea Theodore out. Makes a difference. Zach Whitecloud coming back, I think, is going to be. I think that'll be a big difference maker for Vegas. But Shea Theodore out hurts the blue line. So Columbus top line for me. On the blue line, Alex Pietrangelo. Obviously, anybody else stick out to you?
Jake Bean is a decent punt. Other than that, maybe Andrew Peak as well. But other than that, nothing much.
All right. Just want to let everybody know that coming up next, we have the NBA Strategy Show with Emac and Gundacker, and they're followed by the College Football Live Before Lock with Ben and Kashevsky. Then it's NFL Strategy Show at 12:05 Eastern, followed by MMA Live Before Lock with Jason and Pete. Then a pair of NFL shows and a pair of NBA shows to round out the day. We are going to be here all day long. Last game to get to, Washington 3.2 implied goal total going into San Jose. The Sharks have a 2.9 implied goal total. I'm going to tell you right now, Washington's going to be one of my favorite stacks on the entire slate. I don't think San Jose is all the way back from all the guys that they got back from COVID yet. I still think they're trying to get their legs underneath them. Washington's top line numbers starting to fall off a little bit, but still very good on the power play. I like the Washington top line. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. Tom Wilson not being on the top power play, it does worry me a little bit, but, you know, we don't really, you know, Ovechkin plays the whole power play. Dog's crazy. I think Oshie's back too, right?
Yeah, he's playing with Connor McMichael on the second line.
That is interesting. Axel Janssen Fazella. That's one of my favorite names in the league. But yeah, Washington won for me. I'm kind of still in a wait and see with the Sharks, so you know, probably going to be pretty low on them tonight.
All right, I do like an Oshie McMichael too, man. I think they had pretty good numbers before Oshie got hurt, and they'll get softer San Jose matchups. Don't mind them as two, man. We got to get out of here. I'm going to ask you for your hat trick pick and your goalies. My hat trick pick is Zach Hyman. My goalies are Semyon Varlamov and Jonas Korpisalo, or whichever goalies start for those teams. Who you got?
I'm going Matt Duchene. I like UC Saros as well. And the goalies you mentioned.
All right. Matt Duchene and Zach Hyman are your hat trick picks for tonight. That'll do it for everybody here today. For Tyler Zander, for Josh Harris, for Bacon Pie the King, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody.
Bacon.